I'm William Weers, and this is
Wonder Wood.
And we just saw 42. So, what did you think of this one?
Let's see. Did I like the music? I think I like the music sometimes.
You said it sometimes it was a little too Bondian.
Yeah, I like the Bondian, but that's right. I feel like this composer should do something besides just crib off other people. Something notable. I think there are strips of music that I don't really notice that are original but they're just very generic. So anyway, but that really fits with my whole reception of this episode. I mean, could we cram any more action cliches into the 40 minutes?
45 minutes.
Into the 45 minutes. I don't think we could. You've got the chase, you've got the questions, and usually when you have questions, by the way, could you let the cat in while I'm talking? Thanks. She's scrabbling at the door. Yay. But usually when you have questions, it's something interesting. I mean, I was just hoping they would ask about the speed of an African swallow or something. But none of them was that interesting, even though they made a big deal about several of them. And you had, of course, monstrous aliens that you didn't know where they were exactly. You had the whole airlock thing. Thank you, Alien movie. The countdown to some kind of very panoramic disaster. I can't think of anything. I have a couple of, how did they get the ship back, the TARDIS back in the end? I thought it was
sealed off because the computer was sealing the deck.
But it sealed it into a room filled with fire.
Yeah.
But anyway.
TARDIS.
I felt that, and then because you have the cheap cliches, then you don't have time for characters. So then you have to have. I mean, I thought the shot of them falling into the sun, the married couple falling into the sun was great, but I didn't feel a thing because there was no time to develop these characters, and they were just stock characters anyway. So I didn't. It was obviously polished. I guess I can't. And I just want to say one other thing, which is kind of a pet peeve with me, but I don't think that I am a stickler for hardcore science fiction, and I have certainly written I have a very soft core story about a robot, but the hardcore part is that I was inspired by an actual robot that was trying to show emotions. So we're trying to sort of connect artificial intelligence with emotions at MIT, and so that's sort of hardcore. And then the space stuff is just like suddenly they're in space. I didn't bother. So I'm not a stickler, but when I think of the sleep I lost trying to figure out how a plasmoid life form would think and things, to just have it suddenly there and somehow burning, but not too much. It's just, you better have a really good story if you're going to be doing that. Anyway, so I'm done. I didn't hate it, actually. It held my interest, but I would never have watched it on my own. I would have channel surfed through it for sure.
So to me, I actually felt like, obviously they were trying to do 24. 2007 was 24, I think, was at its most popular. The real-time thing, even the numbers just reverse it as 24. Right. But to me, I felt like that this was sort of a better version of The Devil's Planet, or whatever that one was called, with the devil. It was a similar aesthetic, but here I thought, even despite the rush pace, there's actually more interest going on with the villain.
Well, maybe with the villain, and I agree that I'm glad it didn't have occultism, and it certainly had the feel of that earlier episode. But I felt like earlier in that episode, we cared about the characters a lot more.
Yeah, it had 2 hours versus 45 minutes.
And I forgot one other cliche. Oh, the reserve generator. And then you're a genius? If you've seen any movies at all, or maybe even read any action adventure books, there's always a reserve generator. Anyway, sorry.
And I liked how it explored Martha's sort of getting more and more aware that if she's going to be traveling with the Doctor, she's going to have to give up a lot, including perhaps her own life. So I thought that was well done with how she called her mother several times to get the answer when she thinks she's about to get sucked into the sun. I thought the whole shot where she gets sucked into space and it goes quiet was very well done.
But I'm getting a little tired of the mother just being like, you know, mean to her, and the mystery with the mother and the Torchwoody type people or whatever they are. I don't know. But I did think that the scene where she's in the escape pod, or Martha's in the escape pod with a crew member, that's one of the few times where you actually get to know one of the crew members, and I thought that was effective.
Yeah. I definitely feel like they could have developed the captain more than they did. I think that was a missed opportunity. I also liked that the Doctor was so vulnerable at the end, that he was like on the verge of dying. He was so on the verge of dying he couldn't even regenerate. It was clear he wanted to, but he couldn't, because regenerating is bursting into flame. He's already in flame, so that might kill him. So I thought that was a good, really making him vulnerable moment. And sort of the look he gives Martha at the end, it's sort of a, I would have died without you. Should I say something? No, I'm not going to. So I thought that was a nice, subtle moment.
I didn't think it was that subtle. He's crawling around on the floor.
No, not the crawling moment, but right before he gives her the keys, he just sort of gives her this look. He doesn't say anything. I thought that was a well done look.
Yeah, well, that's like, typical man, wants to be independent, and of course he's got the whole Rose thing and everything, but actually, finally has to acknowledge that he needs the woman.
So,
another cliche.
It might be a cliche, but I thought it was well done. Let's see, what else about this episode? It was I don't know how much there is to say about it, because it reminds me a lot of like a film like Wreck, which is a Spanish found footage film about a group of people clustered in an apartment building with zombies, which I thought, it was well done. But when it's over, what else is there to say except it was exciting.
Now, what did you tell me about the author and why he's
So Chris Chibnall wrote this, and then it became showrunner when Jodie Whittaker was cast as the female Doctor Who.
Okay.
And so he's been the showrunner for the last 2 years of Doctor Who.
I have not seen any of those episodes, so I do not know if he was a terrible showrunner or not.
And I know some of the good faith complaints I've read have complained that Chibnall seems to be a bit more superficial in his handling of things than Davies or Moffat.
Just seems like an asses on seats kind of episode.
Yeah. So I from what I've heard, the next half of the season is like really dark. So I have a feeling they wanted to have something a little more lightweight before we.
This was lightweight. People burning to death.
Well, yeah, but it's an action show. Like I have a feeling we're going to get more into the Doctor's character and things like in the second half of the season, from what I've heard. But it is interesting that you talked about this being such a generic action show, because I know Chibnall back in like the 80s was one of the fans complaining about how Doctor Who was losing sense of what it should be. So it is kind of amusing now that Chibnall is constantly being torn apart for losing sense of what the Doctor Who should be. I don't mind the building of the mystery box because I don't know exactly what's going on, so I'm interested in that.
It's not really that as much as just the mother's consistent harshness. I like that Rose's mother vacillated between wanting to be harsh but not being able to. Obviously, this woman is not as vacillating, and that's okay, but she seems to be monotone.
I don't know. I feel like that the mother's helping Martha with which musician was downloading most of the Beatles or Elvis was a sign that she does, like her daughter. It's just these are unusual circumstances, so she's going to react in an unusual fashion. I know if I called you up randomly when you were practicing, you would go, "No, William, goodbye." So
I would not if you sounded distressed.
That's true.
But I would probably want a full explanation of what was wrong before I did anything.
Yeah, see? Exactly. So you would be her mother. And I do find it, interesting. What I was going to say is, I think you would find it interesting why the hell I was at a bar answering a trivia game. But
Well, yes,
you would be very alarmed about that.
but I feel Martha probably goes to bars more often than William does.
Probably.
Probably most adults do.
Yeah. She's gone and sent the actors, by the way. You were saying Jamaican. I don't know what the character's origins are supposed to be.
It just struck me as similar to, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was
Maybe that's a type in other African descended cultures.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I definitely felt Tennant went over the top when he's possessed by the alien. I think it would have been more effective if he'd been a little quieter with that. There's only so often you can hear him scream, "I'm burning up," or just get silly.
Well, I mean, it was silly to begin with.
And
What is it? Join me in the fire. Whatever it is. Burn with me.
I feel as if he should have been possessed earlier and actually like posed a threat instead of random engineer bald guy. I think that could have been more interesting.
Well, the problem with not working out the hardcore science is it's really hard to work out a kind of a believable character, a believable possession. I mean, there's no freaking way that any kind of plasma that close to the sun is not going to burn you up right away.
There's no freaking way an alien can regenerate into a completely different person.
Well, that I don't know. I mean, they have discovered that space dust. This is stuff I learned from my research, which I do. Space dust forms DNA like helixes in certain conditions in like interstellar plasma clouds, and so there is possible evidence for plasmoidal life. So that's actually very interesting. Why not, learn something, educate yourself? Why don't you just grab whatever and do whatever? It's silly.
Ouch. Yeah. So I'd give this episode a B plus.
Okay, I'm giving it a C plus.
Oof. Yeah.
I really don't like. I guess I don't really like just a bunch of hyper masculine action movie cliches. Just.
I agree with you. I don't really like that either. But what I think saves it is how Martha has to take agency and save the day. And I think that adds interest for me. I like that. I like how they've treated her in that she's just didn't just step right in. She's like each episode, she slowly earned more and more agency, and this is sort of the culmination of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was I like that, and I liked how vulnerable the doctor was at the end.
I don't think you resent the silly science as much as I do.
No, I don't, because this whole show is
Yeah.
silly science. So if I start complaining about it, well, then I really should stop watching the show.
I think there's a lot of. I'm not as familiar with sun science, but there's also a lot of sun problems with.
Oh, sure.
Of course, they never say exactly how close they are, but
Oh, I mean, it's ridiculous. Oh yeah, you 2 seconds, you're fine. But if you pass over a second, it's over.
and I mean, I just.
Yeah.
Well, there is some. Okay, so there is a whole history of non-carbon-based life forms in science fiction, especially in like British science fiction. There was a black cloud, I think, in the 30s that's inspired a lot of science fiction, and there is some famous. I'm not a science fiction fan actually, but I've done some research because I want to write about non-carbon-based life forms. So I did some research about other people who've written about them, and there is one about beings in the sun. But just, I mean, the sun is such an extreme environment. It just seems very difficult to work with that.
No. I mean, I feel like I can suspend my disbelief about it. And what I liked is that it wasn't just an evil monster.
Yes, I was glad about that. That did occur to me, and I was happy about that. But it was kind of an evil monster anyway.
Yeah, but it was. I liked that it had a reason, even though I've seen that before in 2 Star Trek episodes with the Devil in the Dark, where they're mining Horta eggs, and another TNG episode, Soil something or other. But I still liked it, that it wasn't just too generic. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely see your flaws, but I thought there were some strong character moments and a nice, non-evil mustache twirling baddie to make it more interesting than just running around. Even though I agree, we've now had like 4 episodes of running around. We need to have a quieter moment at this point.
All right, B minus. That's as high as I'm going.
I'll take this as a victory. Okay. Thank you for watching. I think the next one is a 2-parter or something, so we'll have one up Tuesday. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.